you dare. The mirror knows your name. Ang salamin na hindi mo dapat silipin. There's an old belief in the provinces. Never let a mirror face your bed. Never look into a mirror in the dark. Never stare too long because you don't know what's staring back. Some think it's superstition, but this story proves otherwise. This happened to Elaine, a college student who moved into a boarding house in Quezon City. The rent was cheap, the place was old, but manageable. Her room had one strange thing, an antique mirror, tall, framed in dark wood with carvings of faces around the edges, all smiling. The landlady warned her never cover the mirror, never move it, and no matter what, never look at it after midnight. The first few nights nothing happened, but one night around 12:30 a.m. while scrolling her phone, the mirror caught her attention. At first it was her reflection, perfectly normal, but something was strange. Her reflection blinked a second slower than her. She smiled, the reflection didn't. She stood, checked the glass, touched it, normal, solid. When she turned to leave, the reflection didn't move. It kept staring. Cold chills ran down her spine, but she shook it off. Maybe she was just tired. The next night, strange things started happening. Objects moved, books fell, lights flickered. Her phone would glitch and sometimes turn the camera on by itself facing the mirror. Then she noticed it. The faces carved on the mirror seemed different. Elaine laughed off the warning, thinking it was just old folks being dramatic. The first few nights, nothing happened. But one night around 12:30 a.m., while scrolling her phone, the mirror caught her attention. At first it was her reflection, perfectly normal. But something was strange. Her reflection blinked a second slower than her. She smiled. The reflection didn't. She stood, checked the glass, touched it, normal, solid. When she turned to leave, the reflection didn't move. It kept staring. Cold chills ran down her spine, but she shook it off. Maybe she was just tired. The next night, strange things started happening. Objects moved, books fell, lights flickered. Her phone would glitch and sometimes turn the camera on by itself facing the mirror. Then she noticed it. The faces carved on the mirror seemed different. They were smiling wider. Ignoring it, she tried to sleep. But then at 3 a.m., a tapping sound woke her. Tap, tap, tap. Not from the door, not from the window, but from the mirror. She looked and saw herself standing, but her real body was lying in bed. The reflection waved. Then slowly behind her reflection, a shadow appeared. Tall, thin, bending at wrong angles, head crooked, hands dragging against the glass. It leaned close to her reflected ear and whispered something, but no sound came out. Only the word appeared fog onto the glass. Tu Mingin. Ka. Elaine shut her eyes, pulled the blanket over her head, but the tapping continued, faster, louder. When she finally dared to look, the mirror was empty. No reflection, no room behind, just darkness. And in the distance, two pale eyes opened, staring directly at her. Then a hand pressed against the glass from the inside, fingers long, skin gray, nails cracked. The hand pushed again, until a crack formed, spreading across the mirror like a spiderweb. A voice echoed, not from the mirror, but from everywhere inside the room. Buksan mo, gusto kiteng makasama. Elaine screamed, ran to the door, twisted the knob, but it wouldn't budge. Locked, stuck. She looked back, the mirror now showed her room, but something was different. Her reflection was standing by the door, smiling, waving, holding a key. Then the reflection mouthed the word, palit. Suddenly, hands shot out from the glass. Dozens, cold, strong. They grabbed her arms, legs, waist, pulling her toward the mirror. The glass didn't feel solid anymore. It felt like thick ice, cold water, pulling, dragging, suffocating. She fought, kicked, screamed, but the harder she resisted, the stronger the pull became. The room twisted, her vision blurred, everything faded. Then silence. Morning came, the landlady knocked. No answer. She unlocked the door. The room was empty, perfectly clean, except the mirror was different. The carved faces now had one extra face, Elaine's face, smiling, wide eyes, hollow mouth, stretched too wide, unnaturally. Her real self had no key. Rumors spread. Another boarder vanished. People said they sometimes saw her in the mirror. If you stare too long, her face appears in the background, smiling, waiting. And if you meet her eyes, the tapping starts. Tap, tap, tap. Always at 3 a.m. Some say if you tap back 3 times, she answers. And if you don't look away fast enough, something reaches out and pulls you in. One by one, new tenants come. And sometimes they never leave. Only the mirror stays the same, but the faces increase. To this day, the mirror still stands in that room, waiting, reflecting not just your image but your soul, counting faces. And if you ever see an old mirror in a room you don't trust, especially one with carvings of smiling faces, look away. Don't stare, don't tap, don't test it, because the mirror already knows your name. It starts with a simple missed call, no name, just an unknown number. Most people ignore it, block it, forget it, but some say if you answer that call, something answers back. And once you hear the voice, you can't escape. This is the story of Jomar, a factory worker in Bulacan, whose life changed because of a phone call he should have ignored. It was an ordinary night around 1:30 a.m. Jomar was scrolling, watching random TikTok videos, when his phone suddenly rang. No name, just unknown number. He almost declined, but curiosity won. He answered. At first, silence, then static, then breathing, wet, heavy, ragged. Nariranigmo ba ako, whispered a voice, deep, layered, as if many mouths were speaking at once. Jomar froze, thinking it was a prank. Sino tu, he asked. No answer, just more breathing. Then a soft laugh echoing like it was right behind him, yet inside his phone. Then the call ended. He laughed it off, thinking maybe it was just someone messing around. But when he checked his recent calls, the number wasn't there. No record, as if the call never happened. A chill ran down his spine, but he brushed it off. Minutes later, his phone vibrated again. This time, a message popped up. No sender, just text that read, Tumingin ka sa likod. His heart raced. He turned slowly. Nothing there. Or so he thought. Because when he turned back to his phone, the selfie camera was on. And for a split second, something stood behind him. Tall, pale, hollow eyes, face twisted, grinning, before the screen glitched back to normal. The next day, strange things began to happen. His phone would randomly turn on by itself. The camera would open, pointing toward dark corners of the room, sometimes capturing shadows that moved when nothing should be there. Then came the second call. This time, the voice was clearer. It whispered his name, Jomar, Nakita, 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 over and over, followed by loud scratching like nails against metal, then the sound of something crawling. Panicked, Jomar blocked the number, but the calls kept coming, each time from different numbers, each time the same voice, each time getting louder, clearer, closer. Then one message changed everything. It read, Isang tawag na lang, susunduin na kita. That night, the air in his room felt heavier. Lights flickered, shadows stretched longer than normal, and his phone started ringing nonstop, one call after another. The screen glitching, numbers shifting into strange symbols like eyes and mouths, staring, blinking. At exactly 3 a.m., the phone rang again. This time, the screen just said, last call. Jomar stared, frozen, debating whether to answer or not. But as the ringtone grew louder, 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 the lights burst, and without pressing anything, the call answered itself. The voice this time wasn't whispering, it was screaming. Isang oras na lang, followed by deafening static. Then a loud knocking, not from the phone but from his front door. Katok, katok, katok. 3 slow, heavy knocks echoing through the house. His phone flashed a new message. Buksan mo na, narito na ako. Jomar grabbed his bag, ready to run, but when he opened the door, no one was there. Only the empty street, silent, dead cold. But then his phone vibrated again. This time, a video was sent. No sender, no name. The video showed his house from the outside, recorded in real time and slowly. The camera moved, panning toward a window, his window, and something was staring through it. A figure, tall, thin, long fingers pressed against the glass, face featureless except for a wide, gaping mouth stretching, open wider, wider, wider until it split across the face. The camera then tilted up, showing a message written on the glass from the outside. Tumingin ka, nandito lang ako. Jomar shut the curtains, locked the door, turned off his phone, threw it under the bed, but the ringing didn't stop. It echoed from inside the walls, from the floor, from the ceiling, vibrating, louder, deeper, as if the entire house became a giant phone. Then everything went silent, pitch black, except for one sound, breathing heavy right behind him. He turned slowly, and for a brief second he saw it. A pale figure crouched in the corner, grinning, head tilted, fingers twitching, eyes blinking out of sync, before everything went dark. Morning came, neighbors knocked, no answer. The door was locked from the inside. When they broke in, the house was empty. No sign of Jamar. His phone was left on the bed. Screen cracked, still ringing. Caller ID said, unknown number. And when one of the neighbors, out of curiosity, answered, all they heard was breathing, followed by a whisper, Ikaw na ang susunod. Since then, people in the barangay began reporting random calls in the middle of the night. No number, no name, just breathing. Some say if you answer, you start seeing things. Shadows and reflections, whispers from dark corners, random scratches appearing on walls and floors, as if something with claws is crawling closer each day. Some even say they get text messages, photos, videos of themselves sleeping, taken from angles impossible to capture, unless someone or something was inside their house while they slept. They say the curse spreads like a virus through the call through the number. And the worst part, once you answer, you can't block it. You can't delete it. It will always call back. And when you stop answering, that's when it visits in person. Room 313. Never check in ang kuwarto na hindi dapat pasukin. It was an old boarding house hidden deep in the streets of Manila. Worn-out wooden walls, rusted gates, creaky floors, the kind of place only students or workers desperate for cheap rent would consider. Everyone who stayed there had one rule: never take room 313. No matter how full the place is, no matter how cheap the rent, never choose that room. They say anyone who stays in room 313 either disappears, goes insane, or leaves, but never as the same person. This is the story of Carlo, a call center agent who transferred to the city. Rent was tight, jobs were hard to keep, and he stumbled upon this boarding house. The caretaker, an old woman with blank eyes, offered him a room. Everything else was full except one, room 313. Kuya, wag na po yan. May iba pa ba? He asked. She just smiled, eyes never blinking. Wala anak yan na lang ang bakante. Carlo hesitated, but the price was too good to pass up. The room looked normal at first. Old wooden bed, a desk, an old cabinet, and a mirror nailed to the wall. But there was something wrong with the air. Heavy cold, despite the heat outside. As he unpacked, he noticed the window wouldn't open. It was painted shut, and the walls had faint scratches, marks like someone had tried to claw their way out. Trying to shake it off, Carlo lay down and scrolled his phone until he drifted into sleep. At exactly 2:47 a.m., he woke up to knocking, not from the door, but from inside the cabinet. 3 slow knocks. Tock, tock, tock. Frozen. He stared at it, praying it was a dream. Then the knob twisted by itself. The cabinet door creaked open, but nothing was inside, only darkness. Too deep, too black, as if it wasn't just a cabinet but a hole. Then the whisper came, soft, layered voices overlapping, speaking directly into his ear without moving air. Dito ka na, wag ka nang aalis. Carlo shut the cabinet, shoved a chair against it, then turned toward the mirror, and that's when he saw it. Behind his reflection, standing in the corner, something tall, thin-skinned gray, stretched arms long, bending at wrong angles, mouth wide open, grinning, its head twitching in small, sharp jerks. When he turned around, nothing was there. Only when he looked at the mirror did it appear. Still standing, still watching. His phone lit up, random texts from unknown numbers, some with photos of him sleeping taken from inside the room, others just single words over and over. Di ka na makakalabas, di ka na makakatulog. The door suddenly rattled, shaking violently, the knob twisting, turning as if someone from the outside was desperately trying to break in. But when he checked the peephole, the hallway was empty. He tried opening the door to leave, it wouldn't budge. The knob spun endlessly, like it wasn't connected to anything. Then footsteps, heavy, slow, started from the hallway, getting louder, closer, then silence. Right outside his door, followed by breathing, deep, rasping. A hand slid under the door, thin fingers, twitching, nails broken, scratching against the floor. Then the whispers returned louder this time, filling every corner of the room. Nakitaka na namin. Kasama ka na namin. Di ka na makakatakas. The lights flickered, then completely went out. Only the faint glow of his phone screen remained, and in the pitch-black room the mirror still reflected, but the room in the mirror was different. The bed was gone, the walls were covered in deep claw marks, and behind his reflection dozens of figures stood motionless, heads tilted, mouths open too wide, eyes pitch black, all staring at him. Suddenly the cabinet door flung open by itself, and a long, thin arm shot out, grabbing the chair, tossing it aside, then a second hand, then a third, crawling out, fingers, first like spiders. Carlo backed into the corner, screaming, pounding the walls, begging for help. But the wood softened beneath his fists like flesh, like skin absorbing the blows, muffling the sound. Then the floor cracked, hands burst through, grabbing his legs, pulling him down. The surface split wide, opening into a pit of shifting shadows. Screaming faces, arms flailing, trying to pull themselves out as they dragged him in. His final scream was cut off, swallowed by the darkness. Morning came. The caretaker knocked. No answer. She opened the door. The room was empty. Bed perfectly made, no sign of Carlo. The cabinet door wide open. The mirror cracked, but still hanging. The only thing left was his phone lying on the floor. Screen cracked, battery dead, but when plugged in, the gallery showed a final photo taken at exactly 3 a.m. A photo of the room, empty except in the corner barely visible, a face, grinning, mouth open, eyes staring directly at the camera. Since then, room 313 remains unlocked, untouched. Anyone who tries to stay never lasts the night. Some hear knocking from the cabinet, others catch glimpses of someone standing behind them in the mirror, even when the room is empty. The caretaker doesn't warn anyone anymore, she just smiles, because the room always hungers for more. And sometimes when people pass by the window of room 313, they swear they see someone looking out, smiling, waiting, watching. Abulan sa dilim, the game you should never play. They say there's a version of tag, a version of hide and seek, that isn't meant to be played, not by children, not by anyone. A game that once started doesn't end until someone is taken. This is the story of Anton, a high school student from Quezon province. It was summer break when he and his cousins decided to stay at their grandparents' old ancestral house, deep in the province, surrounded by forest, isolated, quiet, the perfect place for kids to get bored and look for something to do. On the third night, with nothing else to pass the time, Anton's cousin Marco suggested they play Habulan sa Dilim, a game whispered about by kids in school. A game supposedly cursed. The rules were simple. One person is the seeker. The rest hide, but it must be done after midnight. Lights off, no flashlights, no talking, no laughing. And the most important rule, once you hear knocking, you must never look at where the sound is coming from. If you do, you lose. Anton laughed, thinking it was just a scary prank. Everyone agreed, and at exactly 12:01 a.m., the game started. Marco was the seeker. Everyone scattered, giggling, running into the dark corners of the house, hiding behind cabinets, under tables, inside closets. The house felt different in the dark, bigger, colder, heavier, as if the shadows themselves were moving, breathing. Anton hid inside an old wardrobe tucked between moth-eaten coats, heart pounding, trying not to laugh. Footsteps echoed from the hallway, heavy, slow. But then something felt wrong. The footsteps didn't sound like Marco's. They were too heavy, too slow, dragging. And there was a clicking sound with every step, like bones cracking, joints snapping. Then the knocking started. Talk, 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 soft at first, coming from the wall behind him. Then again, this time, from the inside of the wardrobe. He held his breath, gripping his mouth. But the knocking grew louder, closer, faster. Then a whisper came. Nakikita, nakita, wag kang lalabas, kasama ka na namin. He squeezed his eyes shut, praying it was a joke, but when he peeked through the crack of the wardrobe door, what he saw wasn't Marco, wasn't any of his cousins. It was a figure crouched in the middle of the hallway, arms too long, knees bent backwards, head twitching, mouth hanging open, as if unhinged, eyes white, glowing, scanning left and right, sniffing the air. Suddenly, its head snapped toward him directly at the wardrobe. Even though he didn't make a sound, it started crawling, limbs cracking, hands digging into the wooden floor, moving too fast, too unnatural. Talk, talk, talk again, this time louder, directly against the wardrobe door. Then, the whisper again, but layered, multiple voices speaking at once, male, female, old, young, all together. Lalabas ka na, wag mo kaming itago. The door handle turned slowly. Anton pushed back, pressing himself deeper into the corner. But the back of the wardrobe felt soft, not wood anymore, but something breathing, something moving like flesh, cold, damp, pulsing. Then, a hand burst through the back wall, fingers thin, skin gray, nails broken, grabbing at his leg, pulling, squeezing, twisting. Anton kicked, screamed, burst out of the wardrobe, tripping onto the floor, looked up and saw the figure crawling towards him. Its mouth opened wider, wider, until the skin on its cheeks tore, revealing rows of teeth, not human, jagged, broken, sharp. He ran, bolted down the hallway, but the house had changed. The hallway stretched longer, the doors disappeared, no windows, just endless walls covered in scratch marks, handprints, bloody footprints. Behind him, the sound of crawling louder, faster, mixed with laughter and whispering chanting. Nakikita ka namin, nakikita ka namin, nakikita ka namin. Anton turned into the living room, but it wasn't the same. The furniture was gone, the ceiling was higher, the floor covered in water, ankle deep, freezing cold. And beneath the water, shapes moved, hands reaching, fingers brushing against his legs, trying to pull him under. Then the lights flickered for a second, revealing dozens of figures standing still, submerged in the water, heads tilted, mouths open, eyes staring directly at him, all whispering the same word, Taya ka na. He tried the front door, locked. He banged, pulled, kicked, nothing budged. Then a window shattered on its own. Something long, thin dragged itself inside, bones popping, joints twisting sideways, hands pulling the floor like a spider, its head twitching uncontrollably as it crawled straight toward him. Anton sprinted upstairs to his grandparents' room, but the moment he opened the door, the room was gone, replaced by a staircase leading down into pitch black. No choice, he ran down, deeper, deeper. With every step, the air grew colder, the whispers louder, the walls tighter, until he burst into an empty room. In the center was a circle drawn in salt, broken, disturbed, and inside the circle, something sat, crouched, smiling, waiting. It raised its head, stared directly at him, and whispered, Ikaw na ang taya. Suddenly, hands shot out from the floor, the walls, the ceiling, grabbing him, pulling him into the shadows. Mouths opened, screaming not in pain but in laughter. Delighted screams echoing, blending into the dark. Then, silence. Morning came. His cousins woke up, confused, looking for Anton. No sign of him anywhere except muddy footprints, wet floors, and the wardrobe door wide open with scratch marks inside. In the middle of the living room, a new circle drawn in salt, fresh but smeared like something had stepped out, or maybe something had stepped in. Anton was never found, but sometimes kids who visit the house claim to hear footsteps in the hallway when no one is there, knocking from inside the walls, whispers from dark corners, and every now and then when the lights go out, someone hears a voice right behind them whisper, Taya ka na. If you enjoyed this terrifying story, let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button to help us bring more cursed tales and dark legends to life. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, but warn them first. And if you dare, subscribe to this channel, because here in Pinoy Phobia, the horror never ends. Turn on the notification bell, so you never miss the next cursed story, spine-chilling folklore, or true paranormal encounter from the shadows of the Philippines. Remember, some stories are meant to be heard, but others are meant to be warnings. Thank you for watching. And remember, whatever happens, don't look back.